I was always drawn to the movies of this style.
They were drawn too.
Oh!
Sorry.
Wow, I just like...
What is, everyone? Welcome to Nerd on, the podcast you didn't need, but you deserve, where all levels of books are welcome.
Nice.
So, you've come here looking for adventure, fantasy, or horror. Maybe you too will find your own story in the pages of the library. Don't go too fast, though, because you might leave some friends behind as we take a step back into the classic animated story with The Pagemaster.
Oh man, I wanted to play the theme music, and it's so I think about that theme music. I don't even remember how it sounds, but I think about that, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
Da, 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 da. Oh, sorry.
No. It's da, da, da,
Da,
da,
da, da, da. It goes, Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, the stranger it feels. Yeah, yeah. Now that your rose is in bloom.
What gets me every time is that you guys don't just like, you don't even just like a tiny bit of it. You do a full chorus.
Yeah.
yes.
But before we get into that,
Committing.
I'm Corey.
I'm Tom.
And I am Josh. I'm here, and I'm not going to apologize for that because...
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
This is music
right?
to your ears, literally.
This is quality content that is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation, that is powered by Patreon. There it is. As a member of the Nerd On Nation, as a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks, like you get boner episodes, you get early access to these episodes, this chaos and mayhem. You get to see that first. Before anybody else does.
Chaos and mayhem. It's adventure and horror.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's Project Mayhem.
Yeah, Project Mayhem. Yeah, so check that out. You also get to support us in doing this thing more, and doing this thing better. It's love.
Just doing this thing called love.
Yeah, and it's just for the cost of looking at coffee, right?
No, it's less than the cost of looking at coffee. 4 quarters.
4 quarters. That's all it takes, and you get to join the Nerd On Nation. You get all sorts of cool stuff, so check it out. Nerdon.tv.
Did you say toss a coin to your podcast?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I respect that.
Yeah, you respect that? So check it out, nerdon.tv/Patreon, and check out our Discord. The Discord is hopping. It's a fun community to be a part of, so do join it. Check it out. Continue the conversations from our episodes. Nerdon.tv/Discord, and a huge shout out to Apogee, Odyssey, and Embody Audio.
Embody Audio.
Embody Audio.
There it is.
Great company over there. All of these companies that we've talked about in our episodes for months and years now, amazing companies.
It's very exciting. We actually all watched Pagemaster together.
Oh my gosh,
And at one point, we did talk a little business, because you always got it when you're together. And my wife, Dana, heard the Embody Audio name for the first time, and she's like, that is fun. And I was like, yes, we frequent the Embody Audio.
Yeah. I mean, and I told Jaron in a recent conversation that that's what we do, and he's like, I dig it.
I dig it.
It's got like an internal rhythm to it.
They're
like
not mad about audio, which is great.
Like
It was like designed.
Yeah, it's like designed to do it. But that is the housekeeping.
We'll turn the page.
Let's turn. You mother.
Is that what you're going to say? Let's get into this page-turning episode.
really
Yeah,
good.
but that was a really good one.
Yeah.
Let's master this topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's the adventure begins.
This dragon of an episode.
Yeah.
This episode is dragon.
Let's get brave.
With this goopy colors that consume us.
Yeah,
No, that's a
right.
stretch.
Yeah.
So with that, we'll move on to the next 2 segments of our show. Is actually the first segment of our show, where at the end of it, we're actually going to be rating this entire film.
Yeah.
So now we're going to
Guess that grump, baby! I compare you to a page in a book of this film. Ooh, the more I look at you, the more you look like Christopher Lloyd. Lloyd, now that your roses in
Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Roids. That's right.
Yeah, Royd.
I was a rock band singing that because I didn't know the lyrics. If you just do to the thing, it still works.
That's someone who photoshops Christopher Lloyd's face on Bone Star.
Royd.
Christopher Roids.
No. No.
Now I want to see it.
No.
I'll do that tonight.
So, with that, you're welcome. I hope you enjoyed that song. We are going to go around the table and guess who is going to have the lowest score, because at the end of the episode, again, we are going to rate it from 1 out of 5. No matter how high the number is, the lowest score from all three of us will be the grump for the week.
Yeah.
Since I always explain.
I'll go first.
Yes.
I actually find this to be one. Anytime we get to watch something together, it actually makes it a little bit harder because I got to hear and see
Audible reactions.
So I'm like, man, I don't know who is going to be the grump, but because I have to pick,
You have to.
I'm going to say Tom.
All right.
I didn't even write my number yet. Hold on.
Oh, geez.
Wow,
being
false
said-
advertising.
I know, right?
For those of you who don't know, if this is your first episode, we write all of our numbers down before the show, or are supposed to, so that we cannot change it. So your votes will always matter. There's no sway that can happen. We used to be a little loosey-goosey where someone would make a point and be like, you know what? That changed my score. We can still do that. We can still say but I wrote down this.
I still hold that I prefer that, but
No.
it is what it is.
We got to make it fair to the patrons.
I don't
on
know
what
why
they
that's not
voted
fair.
on. It's because we came into the episode with.
Got it.
So
No used car salesman tactics here.
I'll go next, and I'm going to say that Josh will be the grump for this episode.
Okay.
You didn't expect that, did you, Josh?
Sounds a little spiteful.
Nope.
Didn't expect that, did you?
My
you?
vote is going to be Josh because it's not Tom.
Because who suggested this episode?
I mean, to be fair, we have been
Talking about this.
we've been talking and warning that we were going to do this episode for probably since the beginning of Nerd on
The
Time.
Pagemaster.
That we were like, oh, the Pagemaster, and we'd all lose our shit on air and be like,
Collective
oh
shit.
my God, yeah, we should totally do that. And it always gets me so flummoxed because we'd always say that we're going to do this episode,
Flummoxed.
but we never put it on the
That's a
calendar.
good word.
It is.
It's very good.
We never put it on the calendar
And now
until today.
Today. It's here. And we
It's
can
here.
talk about it.
Yeah.
So now that we have all those, Corey, how can our listeners get more involved?
Oh man, are you sitting at home going, Corey just said that because he can't vote for himself? What a failure of a system. There's only 3 of you. This is terrible. Well, you can be the 4th. You can enjoy helping us even out these votes for less than it costs to look at coffee in a coffee shop.
Toss a
these
corner
days.
If you're
podcast.
thinking this, you're right.
Yeah. So if you want to take part in our Guess That Grump polls on Patreon, become part of the Nerd On Nation, and you can
4
vote.
quarters.
And if you get it right, you get a shout on the show. You get that Guesser, Grumper, Gatorade, Long John Silver, Jekyll and Hyde, Guesser, Grass-Fed, Gatorade, Grumper.
Can I mention something also?
TM.
Also, it's sometimes actually less than 4 quarters if you join for a year.
This is
That's
true.
true.
So
yeah,
do that.
If you join for a year up front and pay for the year, it is cheaper. But let's go
more
with
more
it's-
affordable. You still get the same experience.
There
It
you
doesn't
go.
cheapen the experience,
No,
baby.
God damn it! Back to my sales days. All that being said, the Nerd On Nation has voted, and we had a lot of turnout for this episode specifically, showing y'all's love. Way to do it.
I love y'all.
I love y'all. But it's Tom. Tom got the votes
Love y'all.
on this one.
They're children, Tom.
By like a lot.
Like a lot?
Like a lot.
I love
Okay.
y'all.
So that leaves it with me with no votes.
Oh, man.
And then I'll say Josh and then Tom because he has the Nerd On Nation
Okay.
vote. Leave that suspense till the end there.
Okay.
That's our order for the day. So moving on to the complete
Spoiler!
the next section, we're gonna do
Every
our
piece of metal
Just
reverberated. Reverberated.
first reactions or initial impressions, as I said in our last episode. And I'm FRII. I'm sticking with it. So I'll go first since I have none of the votes. I am a huge nostalgic fan of this movie, and I watched. This is one of those VHSs you wear out, and your parents have to go pick
Clamshell,
up
baby.
another one because you've watched it so
The
often.
clamshell's all broken.
Yeah,
like-
and I text my sister while we were watching this, and she was like, "Oh my God, Pagemaster!" And I text my mom because I was like, "Mom, look!" And then I remembered that when kids are watching movies, parents are doing other things. And she's like, "I don't really remember what that was. I was probably folding laundry. I was probably doing this."
Vacuuming.
And then we got to a point where I showed the books, and I showed her a clip of the book. She's like, "Oh, I do remember that," or like, "Oh, it was the cover." Right, because that's what she would have seen putting it into the VHS, which is a VHS is like if you've ever seen a brick.
No. They can Google search that.
Sorry, my bad. So I love this movie. Macaulay Culkin, Ed Begley Jr. is also one of my faves. So nothing wrong with this. Christopher Lloyd goes hard in this movie, and
he went ham.
Nothing wrong with that. So yeah, I like the movie.
Like the movie. I'll go next.
Oh, please.
This movie was a staple in my household.
No, it was a VHS. I promise you. What that is not a staple. It's a brick that's.
I mean, it was just normal viewing. It was just like a part of the playlist of my household. Like I was the older brother. My little brother was, I mean, at this point, 94. He was a baby, and this was probably one of the first movies that, because I talked about it in Toy Story when we did those episodes. Toy Story was one of those ones that it's just like, be prepared to watch this movie on repeat for the next like 6 years.
For me, my playlist was this, Oliver and Company, Fern Gully.
Oh shit.
And then like probably a couple that rotated out, which was probably Jim Carrey, like The Mask or something like that.
And I always like
stay tuned for our Fern Gully episode, y'all.
Oh my god, I'm down. And I was always drawn to the movies of this style.
They were drawn too.
Oh!
Sorry.
Wow, I just like
Oh, he got you.
I softball pitched that.
He got you.
I softball pitched that. No, All Dogs Go to Heaven. We talked about We're Back.
Yeah.
Like there's a certain style.
Movies that were drawn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This style of artwork and animation I've always been drawn to. And like they have stakes. There's some terrifying
People can
points.
die.
There are some terrifying points, like just we'll talk about that in spoiler zone, but yeah, it was such an interesting experience to, anytime we do a nostalgic episode, it's interesting to pull the internet and see what the zeitgeist is, and to find out like something that basically was like a loop movie. It's just always on, it seems like, to find out that people either didn't know it or never heard of it or absolutely hated it. And I was like,
yeah, it's one of those weird, like almost it just flew under the radar. Because what came out that year?
Lion King.
That's what it was. I remember we were talking about it and I was like, something overshadowed it big time.
Yeah.
Lion King.
So it's just like, anyway.
My turn.
Thom.
Well, I'll piggyback off right where Josh was saying. People are fucking stupid. Wow. And I'll say that. This film for me was, it actually, what's the crazy thing about it? It is almost like, hey, wouldn't this be the best way to make a movie about properties you own? Ready Player One and Space Jam 2.
Oh wow!
Isn't that
shots fired?
Isn't that kind of crazy? Like you think about it, but like it's all like open.
It's live action and animated,
but in that way where it's like, wow,
but not in the way that Roger Rabbit is.
No.
Yeah,
it's an either or situation.
Yeah, and then here it's just like the original. This is like the original. Let's show all the things that Wishbones is, right?
Oh my god.
In that way, but in to me, it in the most enjoyable way. And I say that like. It's like, oh, I hate this in the best way possible. It's like, to me, it's like, this is the most, like, we're showing all the different stories in the best way possible.
Right.
I really enjoyed, like, how, and I say this every time we talk about these, like, older films, they just don't make them like this anymore. And, like, it's so simple. It's so beautifully.
It's only an hour and 15 minutes long.
Yeah, we were timing it, and at the 11-minute mark, everything starts.
Yeah.
Like, that's the story has started 11 minutes in. You got it all.
Yeah, and it's you know the character, you know where they're coming from, you know the journey they're going to go on, and then the journey into the new world. And I can't help but adore the quickness of the storytelling. And I think to that point, I think some people are stupid in the way that they rated this online. With that being said, I really enjoyed it. This was one as well for me in my household. Me and Tammy, we always watched this film.
Out.
And it was always enjoyable every single time. I think there was times where we would skip things that we didn't like, and I think it was because I was a little pansy, and I was like, I skipped all the scary parts. But
I'm learning. Okay, so this is a weird flex for me. I'm learning that like I was one of those kids, and it sounds like you might have been too. That like wasn't scared of things on the screen. Like I was 5 or 6 watching like Thriller, and like because I've been trying to show
That music video scared me.
Yeah, I've been trying to show my nephew some of my favorite movies, and he's a very empathetic kid. And so, like, we tried to show him Aladdin when he was like 6 or 7, and he got really scared of some of the stuff in that. Like Jafar really freaked him out. Genie kind of freaked him out. We showed him, Into the Spider-Verse, and he loved that, but some of that was scary too. Like he didn't like Goblin and that, and like I'm just weird. It's interesting to hear. Because like I never would have thought of this as scary, but there are some scary parts.
Oh yeah, I mean, but also that being said, like I'm very glad that you
Weird flex, but okay.
No, your nephew, right?
Yeah.
I'm very glad that you mentioned how like empathetic they are.
Yeah.
For me, I would have called it back in the 90s being a little scared little baby.
Yeah.
And now I'm having to figure that all out. With that being said,
Now he's unpacking that.
I'm pulling that thread. That sweater.
That being said, like I really enjoyed, and there is like so like to me this was almost like as a kid an ultimate like throw you into a world and then become the hero story. And there's such this beautiful like kind of family moment you have at the very end of it too. So it's just I love this film. I absolutely adore this movie. I'm very curious to see what our numbers are going to be because it sounds like I may not love it as much as everyone else does, even though I thought I did. But we'll see. We'll find out.
We'll find out.
That being said, we'll move on to our next 2 segments, which are going to be our brief synopsis and our production. And the brief synopsis will be given to you by
Mr. President.
Mwah! A storm forces frightened Richard Taylor, Macaulay Culkin, inside a nearby library for shelter. Mr. Dewey, Christopher Lloyd, the librarian, sees that Richard needs an adventure and tries to give the boy a book. But all Richard wants is a phone. Before he can call his parents, Ed Begley Jr. and Mel Harris, Richard slips on the floor, hits his head, and passes out. When he wakes up, he has a concussion. No, I'm just kidding. He finds himself in a fantasy land populated by famous literary characters. Done.
Yep. Yeah. Also, shout out to the naming Dewey. The
Decimal
Dewey
system.
Decimal System.
Yeah,
A librarian named Mr. Dewey is pretty great.
So good. And I will give you the production. The production is distributed by 20th Century Studios, who's given us such things as Avatar, Titanic, and Star Wars. The directors, there's 2 directors for the live action portion, was Joe Johnston. And I'm going to list a lot more credits I normally list because what a crazy, crazy career. First off, The Rocketeer.
Oh, yes.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yes.
Jumanji.
Yes.
Jurassic Park 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Captain
Hell
America
yeah.
First Avenger.
What?
Oh.
Right? Like, this guy did, like, some of the biggest hits of our childhood, and then all of a sudden, like, Jurassic Park 3 and Captain America, like, excuse me? What?
Excuse me?
The second best Jurassic Park film, and then the worst Captain America film.
The director for the animation portion,
It's a weird way to gauge those.
Yeah.
at the time went by Maurice, but then currently it's his French name, Pichot Hunt, who has worked on such things as The Emperor's New Groove,
Yes.
The Black Cauldron,
Mhm.
and Rescuers Down Under.
Nice.
The producers, David Kirshner, who has produced such things as Child's Play, Hocus Pocus, check out that episode, and Cats Don't Dance. Paul Gertz, who's produced such things as Once Upon a Forest, Titan AE, and The Nutty Professor. The writers, David Cassie, who's written such things as Poppin' Fresh, Extended Play, and Severed Ties. David Kirshner has written such things as American Tail, Hocus Pocus, and Earth Final Conflict. And Ernie Contreras, who's worked on such things as The Smurfs, the original TV show.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Gravedale High, and Fairy Tale, A True Story. The
Oh, wow.
cast,
Here it goes.
stacked cast, baby.
This cast is
Everyone's from Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's like royalty.
Yeah. Macaulay Culkin from
Not from Star Trek.
not from Star Trek, from My Girl, that great movie about
Oh,
bees.
God
Yeah.
damn you.
The Good Son,
Oh
and
my
Home
God.
Alone. Christopher Lloyd from such things as Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Back to the Future. Check out those episodes.
Taxi.
And Clue.
All right.
I was gonna say Adam's Family too, but
I was just seeing how obscure you would get, and I went with Taxi.
Oh,
I
yeah, that's good.
took a gamble.
Uh,
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
yeah. Whoopi Goldberg from
Whoopsie.
Sister Act, Ghost, and The Color Purple. My God, The Color Purple.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart from such things as Logan, Star Trek Picard, and Star Trek. Regular Star Trek.
Star Trek.
What about Waiting for Godot?
You could do that too.
There you go.
Leonard Nimoy from Star Trek. Transformers, Dark of the Moon, and Mission Impossible, the series.
Mm-hmm.
The
Oh, interesting.
TV series.
Yeah.
Frank Welker from Mortal Kombat. who's lent his voice to would be the voice for Scorpion, and then the post credit.
He is
Shao Kahn.
voiceover royalty.
I know.
Like he is like.
It's so funny if you look up on IMDb the things he's known for. All Transformers, all different Decepticons.
Abu. He's Abu.
But in Transformers last night, he reprised his role as Megatron because he was Megatron in the animated series and Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
Ed Begley Jr.
He's a handsome man from Scooby Doo. Fred.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say Frank.
Ed Begley Jr. from Pineapple Express. You know that one. 6 Feet Under.
Yes.
And Batman Forever.
There it is.
Baby!
I
can pay you
no.
to a kiss from a rose on the grave.
You.
3 counts in this episode.
and me.
Yep.
This one episode.
You.
Mel Harris from K9, Raising Cain, and Stargate SG-1. Release date for this film, November 23rd, 1994. Runtime, 75 minutes. The budget for the film was $34 million, and it grossed $13.7 million.
Ooh.
So, a commercial flop. And the Rotten Tomatoes score for this is 21% for critics from 19 reviews, and 48% of audience score from 50,000 ratings. So, critical and commercial, quote-unquote, failure.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy? Ain't that wild?
There's things in the world that make you think that things are going to be okay, and then there's information like that.
Like humans are doomed.
We're doomed. If we can't love the Pagemaster as a whole, then what are we doing here?
Like a 48% from audience?
It's really such an interesting experience. Like we haven't done. We've done a handful of nostalgia episodes. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're good. Please,
I think we're both trying to talk at the same time.
No, I wanted you to finish your thing because I have a point, but go ahead, please.
I mean, just we've done like a handful of nostalgic episodes. Even last month, like we did Blade. Like some of these topics are nostalgic for us as people, but also from a pop culture standpoint. And it's very interesting to revisit and see
like Hook.
Nostalgic reviews. Yeah, Hook, Jingle All the Way. Like these episodes that we've done, we're back. You know, these things that you're like, you come to the table and you're like, even before you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, like I remember this. This is exciting. And then you get on the internet and see reviews, and you're like, they're not wrong, but
it's bullshit.
It's bullshit. That's no.
It wasn't a great movie. I know you are, but what am I?
What was your point,
What
Tom?
I was gonna say was like, I also feel like some people don't realize this is a movie for children.
It is,
and it has a child lead actor. And to me, who do I hate most in movies?
Children.
And some reason I'm like, it's a kid movie.
Yeah.
It's a kid movie, and the kid isn't stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how? But how? So low. Like this is.
But
why? I hot take here. It's better than the last 2 seasons of Stranger Things. And I'm like, for some reason, those get rave reviews. And I'm like, what? But how?
I was in a class recently, and I happened to hint that I might not like Stranger Things as much as the world, and the whole class just about lost their.
They all stabbed you.
I'm still healing, but
they came into your house and broke all your CDs.
Yeah, like
all your VHSs.
Yeah.
VHSs are if you were to take a pencil and. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so we're now into the spoilers territory.
Yeah,
we're into favorite parts, favorite characters, qualms, and rating. I just got to read off some reviews real quick, though.
Okay.
Off Rotten Tomatoes. This is just the headline stuff. So, people are like, don't read just the headline, read the whole article. I'm going to say...
But sometimes you don't need to.
Well, to me, fuck you. Why would you write that as a headline if you want people to fucking read your shit? Oh, this movie's ass, but here's my great review about it. It's like, no, you're selling your headlines.
Yeah, sure.
So stop telling me that, you got to be better than the
Okay, but what's your point, though?
So, The Pagemaster is a kind of movie first grade teachers would have popped into the VCR in the 1990s to kill time on a rainy afternoon. 1 out of 4. Like,
when was that written?
This was written in 2018.
Yeah, well, fuck yourself.
Built on a wispy premise, better suited to the realm of TV, The Pagemaster plays like a slickly produced afternoon special.
When was that written?
2007, December.
Okay, you guys, fuck y'all, you weren't there. So listen, are there some reviews from the 90s that are on there?
No, of course not, because Rotten Tomatoes was made in the early 2000s.
Yeah, but don't they find reviews from the 50s about?
Yeah, I thought didn't like a major movie lose its top
Citizen
ranking
Kane
because
lost
of a
to
rating?
Paddington.
I mean, that's appropriate. That was a bad example.
No, shut up. No.
Oh, hey, look. The same fucking review from two people from the same website. Weak Macaulay Culkin fantasy with some cartoon violence. Two people put this report out fucking less than a month away from each other from the same website.
Yeah. All right. So
You know what I mean? Like that's my thing. Everyone here listening, you know, like not in the sense I think everyone else here is like pretty average and fine to figure out where Rotten Tomatoes. However, I'm like the one that's like, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Like I hate that website.
Well, I mean, it was the same when we did. I mean, most of the time when we've done nostalgia, it's very rare.
it's very polarizing.
It's very polarizing.
Well, to me, it just feels
the
like
Hook very close to that, like kind of like.
it just feels like some people were told on assignment, you have to watch this movie and you have to make a review so we can get some traffic for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows because these are people who didn't want to watch the thing and who were just like, oh, fuck this. I'm not going to give it any sense of credit of like, what was it made for? For kids. You're going to tell me
Yeah.
that Lion King is just so goddamn star-spangled awesome that like it just blows. Fuck that. They're all kid movies.
They're kid movies.
That being said,
And now for something completely
yeah,
different.
favorite parts. My
But
favorite.
did you read what Roger Ebert said about Pagemaster?
No. He said a sad, dreary film.
Yeah.
Cool.
1.5 stars.
1.5.
1994.
So favorite parts.
I'll go first.
Yes, please.
Absolute favorite part, and it was so fun to see it again, was the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Okay.
I love the section.
That shit scared me
That's what I
like
was-
crazy.
I was
when
gonna
a
say,
kid.
there's just like we mentioned it, and we're back when the crow guy at the end. There's a couple of like really creepy sections. Like this was legitimately creepy, and I remember like the design of his character, and Leonard Nimoy goes hard. Like, and Leonard Nimoy just has such a good
As
voice
Jekyll and Hyde.
as Jekyll and Hyde, and then
I'm
he
Mr.
shows
Hyde.
yeah when he like and when he's Mr. Hyde form, you're just like
He's a
hell
monster.
yes.
That
Hell
when
yes.
the candle flies
is
by him.
terrifying.
But also in that same section, I love horror and the liquid. Like it shows everybody kind of weird and mangled,
Oh,
but when he goes through
it's
it,
beautiful.
it's like fucking Hercules.
Oh, horror, yeah.
Yeah. And it even makes a sound effect.
No, yeah, that scene. Me and my sister would skip that scene because we were so terrified
Yeah.
of Mr. Hyde. And like, if you think about it, it's actually very like Gandalf Balrog.
Yeah.
Mm.
Actually, and I was like, oh, this is kind of like, oh, okay. But favorite part for me, honestly, I love the end. I
Mm.
love once he finally reaches to the exit sign and he goes inside and he sees the Pagemaster, and everyone's like, oh, it's the Pagemaster. We must bow. And he's like the defiant.
Please pardon
one.
him.
He's angry.
He has a backbone now.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna fight for what
I almost got
deserve.
smushed
And, yeah.
and got dragon.
Yeah. And Christopher Lloyd and as Pagemaster is just like, but you wouldn't have, gone through all this. And it's very much like, because you got to this point, like, of course I could have just showed you the exit sign, but it's very much the journey, right? It's very much like,
Yeah.
but you got to
Oh, you
experience it.
identified with this hard.
You got to
It's your
experience
journey,
all-
Tom.
all
It's
that
about the journey.
which is bullshit. My journey sucks
Now
right now.
according to the Pagemeister.
His response to was, I likened to the modern day, but did you die? No.
Which all I think about is Hangover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you die? But no, I think about that, and if I were to say where I'm at in my journey in my life, I'm where horror is, alone on a beach, getting like strapped down by little people.
Gulliver's
Yeah, Gulliver's Travel.
Travels.
But no, I love that. But also, I just love the introduction of every book too.
Mhm.
Corey?
My favorite part, I loved the, the graphics don't necessarily hold up, but the colors dripping and chasing him through the library,
Yeah.
and the way it would hit a wall of books and
Color.
then turn those into the animated books slowly, I thought was a really beautiful effect, especially for the time. 1994, that was like, my mind was fucking blown. Like, let's see, I was 5 when this came out, and so, I didn't know what taking drugs was like, but that must have been pretty close because that was like amazing to me.
That must have been
Well,
pretty close.
and I remember that so vividly too, and just it splashing around, and then finally him being in the middle, and it's coming from every single corridor, and
Yeah.
and then you get into the animated part, and it's beautiful. The animation here, I know it's not Don Bluth, we talked about it,
Yeah.
but it's everyone that worked with him, so
Yeah.
it's his techniques being applied.
It'd be interesting to like get like a program that could analyze everybody and just see all of the 5 degrees of separation. Like there's, well, I think we did it for a few of just like the animated director or the animators, and it's like, oh, they worked on that. Oh,
yeah.
they
Yeah,
worked
yeah,
on
yeah.
that. Oh, okay, this all is making sense.
Yeah, and so for a favorite part of mine, I mean the whole introduction into the library and the leaving of the library, like when he has all the books in his hand. We get to see them in the real world. They're not animated anymore. We get to see adventure and fantasy and horror in the real world, and he lets him take them just this once. I wanted those books so bad, and I thought I wouldn't feel that anymore, and then watched this movie. I was like, but I'd be dope if I had those books on a shelf somewhere. And someone's like, who's that? And I was like, it's fucking books from Pagemaster. Are you kidding me? And they're like, oh, man, good movie, because that's all I ever hear is how good this movie is. No, but anytime that we're in the real world library, I'm fascinated.
Which I believe is the LA Natural History Museum.
Are you serious?
I believe so, looking at the locations.
I'm going to check it out.
Because it looked really familiar, and I was like, oh, they probably just brought in really big bookshelves and whatnot.
Another favorite part for me, and this is I mentioned this off the air, but I'm gonna bring out somebody. So all you internet people, internet beef. You can have some with me.
Internet beef.
Internet beef. Nostalgia critic.
Yeah.
Was talking so much mad shit about this scene that it's like I love this scene.
Yeah.
It's the scene where Richie Rich,
oh my gosh,
runs into the library for the first time.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Dewey comes in. He's like, oh, I know what you're looking for. He's like, I have a gift. And then he's like, you want adventure. And then he does it. And then Nostalgia Critic is like, isn't that creepy? An old man comes up to you and he's just talking about it. It's like, yeah, well, no shit if this isn't a fucking kid's movie and this is like directed by David Fincher. Yeah, of course it's creepy.
Yeah.
But look at the movie. This is about a boy who's afraid of everything. Come on, give me
the guy's name is Mr. Dewey.
Yes. and to
that's
me,
where you draw
as
the
in
line.
Dewey Decimal.
and so there's those things of mouse can't do a spin in the air.
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of thing.
he can't jump that high. He drives a car.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line?
Well, it's like, but also this kid knows way more things than he should know.
Yeah.
This kid also has like a really decked out bike.
Where are you going? The moon?
Yeah. The movie is called The Pagemaster, not, hey, this is what happens in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Like,
He gets chased around by color. He befriends books.
Yes, a lightning strike just happened. Relax. This is, and that's the thing where it's like a little bit of, what's that disbelief thing?
Suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, give me a fucking break. Relax. Like, that's what to me, what's like, people are like, oh, that doesn't make sense. It's like, all right, are you watching the movie or am I watching the movie? I think I'm watching the movie. And like, even for me, I loved it. Like, that's stupid. Like, that's a dumb thing. But it's like, this is a dumb kid who's afraid of everything. Actually, a pretty smart kid, but who's afraid of everything. And he finds himself in this place. And it's like, well, the story's going to have to happen. And he finds a place in a library. It's like, and there's this guy who's excited about books, who's like telling him like, but you want these books. You want the adventure and all that stuff. And like, this kid is just like, oh, I don't want that. Again, he's pushing against what the story of the movie is telling him. It's like
the call to adventure.
Yeah. And he's saying, no, I don't want
By
this.
necessity, he's moving forward.
Yes, and you have this character who's just willing to do that, and it just makes so much sense that Christopher Lloyd would play the Pagemaster, and so it's like,
and they set it up. His character sets it up perfectly, like telling him where the phone is. He goes, "If you ever get lost, just look for the exit." And you're like, "There, you have everything."
And so that's
you have everything. You have everything you need.
And there's that. Maybe Christopher Lloyd is also the proto Michael Caine of exposition. Of just
sure.
And it's like, down there, head east, go up north. I was like, oh my god, I don't know.
But he knows exactly what's happening. He's the Pagemaster. He's also the voice of the Pagemaster. For those of you who don't know.
And when he picks him up, he makes him a library card.
Yeah.
And then it's like really epic, and you're like, okay. And then it plays into like, that's how they get out of the cartoon world. It's like, you have to have the library card to get out. I was like, that's cool. Like, he gave him everything he needed, but then now that elixir has changed because he's gone through the story, and that library card is not just him getting out, it's about him bringing his friends out and all that stuff. And then there's that entire last second of like, oh, can I take all three? It's like, you
take
two. But then that's his chance to be like, I'm going to fight for what I want.
And he doesn't. He takes horror out of all of them. He starts to take horror. He goes, I can't leave horror.
Because he has friends.
Yeah.
And also, I just love horror's art style of his long, stupid ass arms.
Yeah.
I am always drawn to the doofy characters. They're just like, like
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I have friends.
Speaking of like the
Sanctuary.
Gulliver every time.
Yeah.
Sanctuary. Gulliver Travels section when he's held down and like Adventure does this whole speech and he goes, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he
thought he was dead.
He's so sweet.
Well, that's the nice thing about this too, is like all of them have arcs. Not just Macaulay Culkin has an arc. Like Adventure has an arc. Horror has his arc. Fantasy has her arc. Like it's all about them not just helping Rich get out of there. Like they're all helping each other. They're all different from the beginning of the film. When we first meet Adventure, he doesn't like the other books. He's in it for himself. He thinks Fantasy's trying to steal his ticket out of the library, whatever. And by the end of it, they're all best friends. Adventure even kisses Fantasy at one part, which turns into a really great comedic bit. But like, it's a wonderful growth of all. They didn't need to do that. They didn't have to make the books grow as characters, but they did. And it's really refreshing to see that these side characters got their own individual arcs as well.
And I mean, I mentioned Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but like all of the literary sections are just so wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, Ahab, and then Long John Silver.
Long John Silver's great.
Like, it's the
Dargan.
It's just the dragon. I mean, talk about when I was a kid, the dragon was
badass.
I mean, pretty badass and terrifying.
It was covered all in rock.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's so angry. It's so angry. During the dragon fight, I love Fantasies. Oh, baby. I wish that didn't happen.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
When the wand goes in there.
When she drops the wand.
Yeah, and then he goes into the stomach, and I loved looking for, opening the different books. What's the first one he opens in the stomach that doesn't work?
Oh.
He's like, oh, not that.
Is it Alice in Wonderland? Because I know
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
queen
yeah.
off with her head.
Off with his head. Oh, not that one. Then he opens Jack and the Beanstalk.
Which, I gotta say, let's talk about that as like a magic system.
Yeah.
Like, that's so cool. Like, you open a book and then the power of
Your
the book
character
comes
just
out.
holds like bags
20,000
of
Leagues Under the Sea. That'll do.
And then the Kraken comes. That's such a what a cool concept.
Yeah.
Like, in a world where like the books give you power. And then what does Dewey say? Look towards the books.
Yeah.
And like, there's always, it's a video game set, like feeling. It's a magic feeling of like, use the force.
God, was there a
you know?
Pagemaster video game?
There
Yeah,
was.
it was.
Super Nintendo.
And- super hard.
And Macaulay Culkin plays it.
I don't remember
on a
it.
YouTube show.
I would love to see that.
And
I remember playing it because I had the Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
but I
and,
don't.
like, they open what's that? Something Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, and there's a magic carpet
Got
in
it.
there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
oh, yeah. I
Hounds of
also love
Baskerville.
Adventure lifting up his eye patch and having both eyes.
Yeah.
Totally fine. Like, it's all facade.
Well, I mean, okay, side tangent. Isn't that how it's supposed to be?
Yeah, but like
Okay.
typically they wouldn't show that in a cartoon or anything. But I loved it. Yeah, typically what the eye patch is for is you wear it over one eye, so
And
when
then
you go
at
below
night-
deck,
Oh,
you switch it over.
so I learned that from science camp, and it was supposed to be like when it goes dark, you could still navigate because that eye has not seen any light.
Possibly, it was used. There was not a lot of light below deck,
True,
and so
yeah.
typically you would switch
Move
it
it,
to go
uh-huh.
below deck as well, so that you could see what was
You
going
could
around.
absorb more light.
But I
'cause
just
your
love
eyes,
that they
yeah.
included that. They didn't
Yeah.
have to, and it was for comedic effect.
Yeah, well, every time you do
library
it,
code.
you hear like the little squeak. I think.
And next on News to Josh. I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, yeah. I learned it because of MythBusters,
Ah,
actually.
science camp.
Yeah, I loved his little asides, like when he puts his sword back and his belt falls down. Oh, I'm naked. Pulls it back up.
In science camp, we had to hike and we had to cover an eye, and then they gave us a candy. It's like, you can't eat this candy until we start the hike back.
Oh, it was a lifesaver.
But then it cracked.
It lights up.
It lights up.
Yeah.
And so you would do that, now cover the other eye, and then you'd see like, it would be like almost daytime, and it was a bright night, and there was like the moon's out, so you're seeing so much light, and then everyone's cracking these lights, so you're seeing everyone's mouth just like bright lights. It's wild.
Lifesavers will glow very faintly in the dark, so when you do that, it's very bright.
It's crazy.
wow.
Anyways, so more favorite parts. Josh?
It's more of an overall concept. Or ideas. It's really just how the three books work together. Just when they're on screen together, and just like how it's just really great chemistry. That's the word I was looking for, kids. Chemistry. It's just wonderful. And like this, I know I didn't see anything specific, but I know that Patrick Stewart and Whoopi Goldberg, they
Were in
recorded
Star
their
Trek.
lines
Okay.
together. So, I mean, that was probably such fun sessions.
Oh yeah,
'Cause,
well,
I mean,
plus they
seeing-
knew each other.
Yeah, I mean,
Star
seeing any interviews with Patrick Stewart, just it's a fun guy.
Yeah,
Just he's a fun guy.
He's the original Gurney Halleck, baby.
he doesn't
Yeah.
even it doesn't even sound like him in this really.
No.
At
Which
all.
I think is just again, when I look at this cast, I'm like, that's royalty. That is
Yeah.
just like amazing. And as a kid that grew up in the '90s, like Whoopi Goldberg, like Sister Act, and like Comedy Relief, which was Whoopi Goldberg, Robin Williams, and
Jim Carrey.
no,
What are you talking about?
when
Comedic.
it was
geniuses?
Comedic Geniuses, but Comedy Relief. It was Billy
Comedic relief.
Crystal.
Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal. They would like host this like annual Comedy Relief.
Don French?
No.
No, there
No.
was a fundraiser. They
Yeah,
did.
it was like a fun, and it was a massive thing, and we would always record them on VHS and rewatch
VHS.
them.
That's if you think of a brick
Yeah.
and wheels with wheels in it.
Yeah.
And inside those wheels are
And John Candy.
slides, what you would call Instagram reels. They have those on the inside. You got to put them in a machine, and it shows them up on the TV.
Yeah. So
and John Lovitz was.
yeah. I mean, a lot of comedians that you know, even today, they would show up on Comedy Relief. So Whoopi Goldberg was like another person in my household. I was just like, oh, she's in it. Like this is quality. That's
why we got to cover her movie,
The Color Purple.
Rex.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't think it's called Rex, but it's about a T-Rex cop, and
Yeah.
she teams up with him.
I remember watching that a lot as a kid.
I'm
Yeah.
down.
Okay,
I mean,
all right.
Whoopi Goldberg RS.
Yeah.
Favorite part for me,
Theodore Rex.
Theodore Rex. Because it's T-Rex. I really enjoyed, to your point, I liked that each character had something to grow, something to do that, like, at certain points, like, okay, will Fantasy actually use her magic, and will she, like, kind of, help, like, will we actually see that happen in Adventure, learning his softer side, and Horror having to, like, gaining some courage, and also, have friends and stuff like that. I thought those were really, really fun, like, things, and that's kind of the thing where it's like, it's fun to see a kid actor amongst like really talented older actors, and they work in kind of a good harmony in that way, and it's just fun to see, and also just like I just really like this movie.
Yeah.
I get it.
Another favorite part of mine, excuse me, is the bit with the pirates, like with Long John Silver and everything. I thought they did a really good job of portraying. This is like one of my favorite iterations besides Tim Curry's of Long John Silver. It's such an interesting character to me because he's not like inherently evil.
He's
a pirate.
He's wily.
He's a pirate.
Yeah.
He's the wild card. And so that moment
Yeah.
when he's telling, he's got the sword and he's telling him to go back to the boat, and he's like legitimately going, like, I think you had everything in you to make you a great pirate, Rich. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart kind of moments. I love that shit. They could have, in a kid's movie, they could have made Long John Silver the guy who backstabs everybody. They could have made him very evil.
It is honor among thieves.
Yeah, and they included that in there, which I really loved because they didn't have to. It's the reason I love the Tim Curry version as well, is that, like, yeah, he's just bad guy who tried to pull some shit and lost, and he goes, I know when I've been beaten, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's part of being a pirate.
Yeah.
And I dug that.
Things happen. Poop happens.
I do like that with that part too, that there's clear and present danger kind of always happening. And
That's when they say, let's kill him.
and that's the thing where it's like, I think there's something I really enjoy about, and this is like
sharks.
You're gonna hear me, no shade towards Disney, but like Disney is very good about like implying those things, and the best way I could explain is like Aladdin, and then taking Jasmine's arm, and then you see on that board
All the
marks.
marks.
There's a bunch of marks. So he's cut off a bunch of hands before.
Yeah.
But they never really say, I'm going to kill you or what I'm going to do. They just do it, and then you have to imply what's happening. Like Aladdin being sent off to like Alaska, and it's like he's sent there to freeze to death and die.
Uh-huh.
But they never say, I'm going to kill you, or they never have like a knife to someone's throat, and you're like, and then in here you have that, and that's why I say, like, in a way of like Wishbone's, like I pretty much remember Wishbone, like people died in that show. Like I remember, like,
Because they were true to the literary.
yeah, I remember the Joan of Arc episode, and like they show her getting burned to the stake. I was like, oh my god,
Oh, wow.
this is a kids show. But then like
Cut to the puppy.
you have to have those things to kind of just get a better understanding of like what the world is. And not saying like everything dies and all that stuff, but like you can't just make fake like threats and there's going to be like, oh, there are things to keep precious, like the lives of your friends and yourself.
Yeah.
So I think we go into
favorite
characters.
Yeah.
Let's do 2. That's not Rich.
Rich wasn't one of mine anyway.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, let's
Yeah.
do 2.
I don't have any votes. I'll go first. Adventure is my favorite. I think when I was growing up it was Horror, but I really think Adventure is a lot of fun. And I think the most times I laughed were at Patrick Stewart's little asides and stuff like that, and having those heartfelt moments like he has a heartfelt moment with horror, the one with fantasy where she ends up kicking him out afterwards, and then like one like when he finds the library card and is like excited to bring it to Rich. I just love he's there for it and he's ready to go fight this dragon and everything, and he gets me. And then horror, because how do you not love horror?
I mean, that is my favorite. Yeah. I remember as a kid identifying with horror a lot. I was bullied a lot, so it was just like, hey, I dig this. I love this, and again, I love the dopey character. I love it. He's so sweet and innocent, and he's horror. Like he shouldn't
screams. They're like,
I love it.
But it's like the
totally
classic
a sound
horror,
effects.
like a 50s horror.
It's like if they use the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
Like it's just like
They sample that for sure.
Yeah,
Loved it.
exactly. And then of course, I mean, Mr. Dewey. I mean, and probably, I mean, he's not in the movie a lot, but I just think,
no, he's probably like 3 minutes total.
yeah, Christopher Lloyd goes ham.
Yeah, he does. He goes real hard for this,
ham,
and it's
and I just
wonderful.
I just have to give it. Like, there's a lot of great characters, but I'm just like, that performance.
Just this once.
I love it. Tom?
For the sake of variety.
No, be honest.
I mean, I think I really love fucking Pagemaster.
Yeah.
Like, such a good
Character design, first of all, is on fleek. Like
his cloak.
His beard is all scrolls.
Yes.
And his
Old guy
cloak
with a
looks
beard?
like yeah, right. His cloak
Yeah,
looks
that's what I was expecting. I was like, Corey, what?
the cloak looks like a book with open pages, and yeah, his staff is badass big scroll, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, Pagemaster for sure. Like, there's something about it where it's like, man, there's something I really like about it, because he was just like this very good, like, mentor-y figure. This, like, this is your destiny, your thing. I don't know. It just hit me in such a good way.
You're bound to this,
yes,
in a way.
I was spellbound.
Yeah.
He like zoom into my
Yeah,
eye.
yeah,
It's just,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
twitching.
I'm
Like,
so sorry about
a
it.
tiny tear.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really like this one, but yeah, I guess adventure.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say fantasy, but I was like, I like adventure more.
Yeah.
Adventure, he's just very like, he's the first one you meet, and then like, I know this place like the back of me hook, and then it's a fucking hook.
Yeah.
And so like, it's that kind of stuff where it's like, oh, I love everything he's doing, and also he's just like, so like you're saying, like, he's so gung ho to start everything up, and it's just very entertaining. Again, hearing Patrick Stewart, like, oh my god, but like fantasy, very close. But,
Yeah.
it was, I mean,
respect.
just on the adventure note, I mean, it's cool to see. I liken this to like Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, to see them go outside of what you know them for.
Yeah.
Like Jim Carrey doing, why am I forgetting things?
I don't know.
The Mask, the Grinch.
23.
No. It's a drama.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless
There it
Mind.
is. Eternal Sunshine.
But
Like,
also number 23 is a drama.
yeah.
I was gonna go with what's the one about the movie theater?
Oh, the
that he did?
Majestic.
The Majestic. Yeah. The
no, thank
Truman
you.
Show.
Yeah, I mean, it's just seeing an actor do something different
Yeah.
than what they're known for, and it's just like Patrick Stewart is Patrick Stewart. Like seeing him in Star Trek for so many years, and then
Make it so.
seeing him in X-Men and stuff like that. It's so cool to see something where he probably had a shit ton of fun doing this.
Jean-Luc Picard of the USS Enterprise, Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
So now we'll move on to Qualms.
Qualmy
Qualms.
Quams.
So,
Quams.
Who wants to go first?
I will.
All right.
Man, I know it's of the time thing, but that music montage was
Oh yeah.
rough to sit through and take seriously. I think we all laughed out loud when it started. We went, "Oh, here we go." When they get to the fantasy land,
Yeah.
that was again
Going through the leaves
for
and, like,
kids, but at the same time, like also soulful R&B over.
Yes.
Couldn't do it, man.
I will say I did like the little animation of like
The
the little
animation's
electricity
beautiful,
dancing
yeah.
rotoscoped. But like
It's such a movie that moves, and there's so much
And then it
urgency to
stopped.
everything, and then it just like slowed down to be like,
Like you did need Monty Python, and now for something completely
yeah,
different. Like
that
you're like,
almost would have helped.
cool.
So
Now I want to edit it in.
that's my only qualm with the movie is that section just really, at a very pivotal point, slows everything down. you
because
know?
the team just got back together and we're about to get to the last place.
Yes.
Josh.
I only what's funny is I made a list of qualms and then I realized it's all one and they all have to do with the same thing, and it's there is an inconsistency to the animation in terms of like coloring quality. There's and again, I can't know because we're now in 2022, and this movie was 1994. Most likely, who knows? Maybe some transfers, some remasters, who knows? But there's a dullness to some of the scenes, which this is where I
like at the very beginning when he looks at his hand.
Yeah, and like through a lot of the middle part, there's a section. I think it might be either the pirate section on the island or just after that, where everything pops. All of a sudden, it's like something happened.
It's like right when they get on the ship.
Yeah, there's like
starting to like
it changes, and like before that, it's like they had. I can only liken it I can only liken it to like working in Photoshop. Like somebody slapped a white layer and put the opacity to like 20%.
Yeah,
and it's just like
I just remembered when they shake Adventure and all of his different things are coming out of his
he's got a nuke in there.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's that, and it's also like the colors. Like at one point, his shirt's a different color, and there's no. I would be okay with that if there was logic, like environment, shadows, that kind of thing. But there were just color changes that you were like, but it doesn't really actually make sense. It kind of looks like a section of the movie was like, yeah, just throw it to the B team.
Yeah,
and
or it was processed wrong or something like.
To me,
here's the templates and just do that.
To me, I 100% agree with everything you're saying, that there's inconsistencies there. To me, that feels like we are running out of budget. And then all of a sudden, around the end of it, we got more budget.
That makes sense.
Like. That feels like to me a production problem.
Because like there's I think it's just after the pirate scene, because there were some pirate scenes that, or when they're looking for the treasure, there were some parts in the pirate scene that I was like, ew. Ew.
What an aggressive take to this 30-year-old film.
But then like
in people's yum.
Like a minute later.
Not even just like that's a little off. Just ew. Just spitting on him. Yeah, go on.
But then like a minute later, everybody's vibrant. Everything is popping. Like shadows look amazing. There's like, and you're like, what the actual F happened?
Reshoot.
Well, maybe it's like, oh, dude, we got some money. Reshoot.
Yeah.
Reshoot.
Yeah.
And we'd have to probably compare it to like something like All Dogs Go to Heaven or Fern Gully or something like that. Because to me, the only thing I have a really good reference of that's a non-Disney thing is probably Anastasia. And you don't have...
I'm going to say Ants. And I was like, no.
DreamWorks, shout out. But no, that would probably be like... But Anastasia, I think animation-wise, there's nothing in that.
Yeah, I mean, some of the things that I'm talking about is the general lack of vibrance, I can totally understand after, again, almost 30 years. Who knows what has happened? I mean, didn't you say at one point this wasn't even available digitally?
Oh, yeah.
So who knows? They probably, it was like, oh man, this is going to be 30 years.
Could have been how they scanned it into digital.
Yeah, they transferred it over. Like, who knows? Like, it could have degraded the quality.
Someone knows.
But there are things that I'm like, no, that was pre-transfer. That had to be. So.
Do you have another one?
No,
just
that
one.
That's
okay.
it.
Tom?
For me, same one as Corey's. This is a song.
The R&B song.
That's it. I don't really have anything else. I mean, at the end of the day, again, I kind of look at things differently. Like, if it's a kid's movie, it's like I'm not gonna beat it to submission of like, oh, it should have been like this. But and when it tries to like be more than what it's trying to be, then I'll be like, okay, well now you're trying to punch out of your weight class. Then I'm like, all right, well let's see how well you do it, and then I can start doing that. But like, yeah, it's like, all right, you're staying in your kind of like storybook
You're
world.
doing it.
Yeah, I mean, like, and this is a really bad thing, again, comparison is a thief of joy. But like one movie in particular that came out kind of recently, 8-Bit Christmas.
Yeah.
Kind of tries to step out of kid movies sometimes.
I see.
And I'm like,
the only thing that's done that successfully is Rugrats.
Yeah.
Because they had a lot of adult jokes in that show, but it was like so quick and so over everyone's head, and it didn't take away from the story.
Yeah. Where 8-Bit Christmas is a little bit like, I get what you're doing, but they're like, stick to the kid stuff, please. But I can't help it, for they try. But so this, like, I again,
it's just the song?
Just a song.
Yeah.
Like, Dewey's crazy because he's a library and no one comes in.
Yeah, there's nobody there.
No, it's just wild because it's like this, and then this, and then this, and they're like, huh? Oh, baby, I compare you to a kid. And there it is.
I'm
right
pretty
in the middle
sure
of
I'm
it.
into two hands because he was doing hinting.
So
You.
so yeah, that's it. We'll go
So
straight
ratings.
go into rating. Who's going first?
Me, I have no votes whatsoever.
Okay.
It is a solid, and I mean like a solid 4.5 for me.
4.5 for Corey.
Solid. It's a masterpiece level for me is 4. So sitting at a pretty at a 4.5 here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought your masterpiece was 5.
5 means I won't change anything.
Oh, okay, got it. It is
5 means I
it is
will not
literally perfect.
change a goddamn thing. Yeah. And
Okay.
then 4.4. So 4.5 is still a very high score.
Yeah.
Still an A+.
4.5 for Josh.
4.5.
Oh.
Yeah, 4.5.
Okay. Well,
So Tom,
for moi, what was my number again?
4.
0.8.
8.
Look what happened. Look what happens.
Hey, look at us.
See, I'm used to like a
Yeah.
3-way tie of like no grump.
I
No, it's a
really,
2-way.
I really like this movie.
Yeah, I can
a
tell.
lot.
I knew you did. Like
Well, that-
watching it, like there was at one
thing
point you
is-
were like the story and the
The
story
music, the
structure.
Oh my
So I'm going through and I'm thinking about what I want to rate this thing, right? And I'm like looking at our past episodes and I'm like, all right, where did I put Blade? Where did I put this? Where did I put Harder They Fall? Where did I put this other thing? And I was like, so this has to be a 4.5. This is where this has to be.
I mean, I would say there is a little bit of an objective, a little bit of nostalgia in my number for sure.
Sure.
But also,
I
like,
gave Candyman accidentally a 4.6 instead of that 4.7 I thought. So this had to be a 4.5.
But all, that,
Otherwise, this would have been a 4.6.
yeah. And that being said, also, if you're watching this as an adult and you have no context to it, these numbers are going to sound really high. But that we have that experience, we have those like, oh yeah, this kind of shaped a little bit of who we are. And then you look at it, it's like, you know, for what it is, it's not a terrible
kids
movie.
That
And
is
the-
an hour and 15 minutes. Like if you talked about pacing, I'd be like, shut the.
Oh, it's
Like
so
it is
fast.
it is an hour and
It
15 movie.
Blasts through all the stories.
It moves.
Yeah, and
It moves quick.
it's very lean and yeah, you're set to
And
go.
everyone in it is sticking their landing. Like
Yeah.
nothing for me. Yeah, I agree.
And it's not perfect by any means or anything like that. And could there be a better version? Like if they were to do the exact same thing, take out that song with just better animation, maybe, or like you know more budget towards the animation, it'd probably be a higher number.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to say like what's wrong with it unless you wanted more from it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what more you want other than let's stay in those storybooks longer than we are because then it would feel bloated. It's like just move on with it. This character's just got to grow and we get it. You know, but it's like,
Yeah.
oh, let's do another fantasy story where he has to fight an ogre. And it's like, oh, let's do another.
Like we don't need to have a 3-hour movie.
Let's do
to-
Frankenstein too. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God. You know, where it's
Yeah.
like, let's do all of it. It's like, no.
I mean, they had Frankenstein, but
I
it just
think
didn't make the final
I think
cut.
a moment with his dad would have been nice.
At the very end.
I know he's asleep and it's very tied up with a bow, but it was very rushed for me. I think that's where maybe that 4.5, maybe it's not a 4.8 or 4.9. I wanted a moment where him and his dad do have a moment together.
I did have,
But
a
it's not a
moment.
qualm of mine. I'm just saying if I were to think of a way to raise my score, dad stuff.
I had a moment, and I think I even said when I was watching with you guys, when they take his glasses and he's in the treehouse, I'm like, guys,
How's he gonna get down?
how's he gonna get down?
Like,
He's
we
gonna
got,
roll.
we got
Come
some
on.
we got some shout outs still. So
Ooh.
even though they overwhelmingly voted for you, we still got some for you and I.
Cool.
So we got Bradley P and
Hey.
T Dog shout out.
Shout out.
Logan B and Matt R. Shout outs to all y'alls for getting it right.
Nice.
Everyone else, you got it wrong.
Wrong.
So crazy that they would think it's me though.
I mean, I can see it.
Because it's a kid.
Yeah.
It's a kid.
Yeah, they didn't know that
Look,
you were.
I mean, there were some
Look,
clear.
they're not there to see how impassioned you were to pitch this, to make it happen. To while watching it, we were watching you. You know, so there
But
you go.
also, they didn't know that I had like this, reboot in my back of my head. Everyone listening is going to be the Showmaster,
yeah,
and Jeremy Irons.
Oh, yeah.
is the guy.
Showmeister.
is the Showmeister, and then the kid is Lucas from Stranger Things.
No, I'm
Okay.
shaking my head because I hate when you guys pitch your ideas because then
Yeah.
I just want that
and then
thing.
and then the TV world would be comedy sitcom, 1 hour,
True crime.
1 hour drama, and then true crime. And then 1 hour drama, you could do like whatever's and Game of Thrones stuff. You could do all that shit. And then like what they would do, they would bring out different like I guess DVDs.
That would
So
be
a DVD is
No.
Pancake.
No.
think of a Hot Pocket, but a pizza roll. It's a bagel bite, and it's.
Do you
Anyway,
like ice cream?
Get us out of here, please.
Everybody at home, let us know what you think of the Pagemaster. Slip and slide into those DMs, whether it's social media or head on over to that Discord. That is my favorite way to continue the conversation because it's a dope community, and there are channels that
I
you
don't
can.
know what I just yelled.
Sanctuary!
Hey,
Sanctuary! So yeah, check out that Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. Comment on the things. Let us know your thoughts. All of these videos go to video on YouTube. All of these videos go to video. All of these episodes go to video on YouTube. So check it out.
All these videos, video with the audio
Yeah. So a V8, no, just kidding.
on your ears.
So stop by, rate, review, wherever it is. We are everywhere podcasts can be heard. So, and anywhere that does a rate and review, do it.
So do.
So do it.
So
and
Dewey
then,
Decimal.
and then press that little share button and share it on all of the social media that you have. Facebook, Twitter,
Ooh, baby, I wish that happened.
Reddit.
Yeah.
Dude, like share it on all the things because that is how we grow. Consider joining the Nerd On Nation. It does allow us to keep doing this and be good, make good content, and learn to speak good.
I think you.
We're at the end of our
I think
day
you about
recording session.
covered it.
Yeah, you did the thing, and I feel complete. So please end this episode.
Yep.
Everybody at home, you know the drill. As always.
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.